has to do with my school teacher. I had a German class, and this lady was very strict about the interpretation about this book. And, for her, it was only right what the classic interpretation people wrote about it, and we have to think the same. And I had different ideas, and I told them, and she said, "No, this is wrong." And this made me very angry, and so because I didn't understand why my interpretation would be or should be less interesting than the interpretation of other people. And then a friend of mine said, after this happened 2 or 3 times, "Yeah, then write your own comic, Faust. Yeah, go for it." And I said, "This is a good idea." And with all this anger and my view on this work, I started to write a complete comic book, and I never did it before, so it was very I don't know, it was not very intelligent to do it like this, but I felt it was right, and so I started writing a book, and with a lot of luck I found an editor for this work.
It's all about passion.
Yeah, maybe. And in this book, I just reviewed it because I want to redraw it for a newspaper next year, and so I read it again and thought, hey, this is pretty well written. The drawings are kind of kinky and easy and not very good, but it's okay. It's telling the story, and it's not my worst work I've done. I needed a theme for my diploma. I studied visual arts and design, and at the end of the studies, you have to write a diploma work. I have to do a diploma work, and you have a 6-month time for doing that. And my mentor said, "Okay, if you choose a theme for your work, choose wise. You have to work 6 months on it, and so choose something you won't get boring or won't get bored of." And then I don't know why, I had thought, okay, at the time I was 25, now I lived 25 years with myself and it's not boring, so maybe in the next 6 months we'll take on too. So and so I thought, yeah, maybe I write my own biography and more, because yeah, I felt I wanted to know how life ends to be relaxed. If you know everything will be good, it's easy to relax, or easier to relax. And so in Germany we have a saying like, your life is written down in the book of your life. It's not really existing, but I thought I want to have one, so I wrote it. It's pretty strict. I just changed in some parts the chronology, so the timeline, because it would be easier that way for the readers to follow. But it was great work, because I took a whole month just to rethink what I have lived through and write it down and talk to people, to my family, and looking for pictures and find out what happened. And just it was very intensive time for me. Yeah, it was good, because at the end, when I drew myself dying, I cried very hard, and after that when the book was done, I was so relaxed and so happy, and yeah, this was really for myself a very special work, and I'm very happy so many people appreciate it. I think it was that he was taking the figures serious. He didn't write about Batman, about like some guy who's wearing underwear and do justice, but he wrote about a guy who has problems, who was depressed and feels anger and is not very happy with the world and does something against it. And this is a completely different point of view on this figure. I thought it was great. This is what I always thought about comic figures. humans. They were humans to me, and they, in many stories they didn't act like humans. And this is what I really like about it. Yeah. No, I like the more sensitive comic books. So like superheroes at all, I'm not very interested anymore because I think they lack of the humanity. They are superhumans. They are better than us, and I don't know. I don't like people who say, "Hey, look at me, I'm better than you." This is this is kind of hard all the time. It's like being in school, you know, when you're not the best in school and the best one. Oh, look at me, I can run quicker than you. This is don't make you feel comfortable. One time you should be great, but the rest of the time, ask me. In Germany in the last years, I think maybe 70% of all comics you can get are mangas, more or less. And I like many of the Japanese comics, but I think the problem what I have in Germany with which books are published are the main people who buy mangas are between 12 and 18, and they prefer different stories than I would. And so the German mangas you can buy are mostly about teenage love stories, easy horror stories, a little bit science fiction. That's it. And this is not what I'm really interested about. There are some series they publish which are for adults. So like there's one called Monster about a young doctor who saved a person who's the devil and now he feels guilty about it and tries to chase him. And this is a really good, well-drawn manga, and I'm sure in Japan they have lots of more like this, and I want to read them, and I hope somebody will translate them for me in German or English or Spanish or whatever. In the last year it developed very much. The years before it was not very professional, and we had some people who were very good and many who didn't work on a high standard. And this changed in the last years on universities. Many students made like their last big work there for their diploma, a comic book. It got quite common, and they work on, or they try to work on an international standard. So they try to make books which you can compare to other comic books, like France, our big neighbor, who's always there with great stories and very well drawn comic books. And so we try to become as good as them. It's working because they all take the comic book business more serious, and I think when somebody has to, it's not good always to complain about we are not taken serious by others. We have to start to take ourselves serious and our work serious and make it as good as we can, and then the public will maybe one day think, oh, good stuff.